can we take responsibility for what is happening in the world while continuing to function in our daily life? What is right action with regard to violence and when faced with violence? How can we take responsibility for what is happening in the world while continuing to function in our daily life? What is right action with regard to violence and when faced with violence? How can we take responsibility for what is happening in the world while continuing to function in our daily work, life? First of all, sir, is the world, that which is happening outside, is it different from what is happening inside? You understand my question? The world, what's happening in the world is violence. What's happening in the world is this extraordinary turmoil that's going on, crisis after crisis, right? Wars, division of nationalities, religious differences, racial, communal differences. One set of systematized concepts against another. You follow? This battle that's going on, is that different from what's going on in us? Right? Please do investigate. Is it different? Because we are also violent. We're also full of vanity. We're so terribly dishonest. Put on different masks for different occasions. Right? So, is it one movement? You understand? Like the tide going out and the tide coming in. You follow me? It's one movement. Not how am I to be responsible to that. So if the world is me, right? Because we human beings have created that. That cannot possibly be changed unless we human beings change. That is the root of it, you understand, sir? We want to do something there in the world. Better institutions, better governments, better economic, etc., etc., etc. But we never say we have created that, and unless we, I, you change, that cannot be changed. We won't take the responsibility for that, but we'll take responsibility for that. You understand the difference? Now, do we meet each other in this? So, I am the world, right? Right, sir? I am the world. It's not an idea. It's not a belief. It's not a concept. It's an actuality. After 10 million years or what number of million years we have lived, we are just the same. You follow? We haven't changed fundamentally. And so we have created such havoc in the world. and so on. So, the fact is I am the world. Not an idea, but an actuality. Do you see the difference? As the idea and the actuality. The idea is, you have heard this, that you are the world, you make an abstraction of it into an idea and discuss about the idea, whether it's true, false, against it, for it, and you have lost it. You understand? But the fact is you are. It is so. So, you are responsible for changing this. That means you are responsible completely how you live your daily life. Please, this is not preaching or advocating, nothing. We are investigating together. So our responsibility is not to the chaos that's going on and try to modify it, change it, decorate it, or join this group or that institution and so on, but as a human being who is the world, and that human being has to go through radical transformation, otherwise you'll have no good society. And most of us find it awfully difficult to change, right? Even to give up smoking, you understand? You've got institutions that will help you to not to smoke. You see how we depend on institutions. You follow, sir? So can we find out why we don't change? Why we see something to be wrong, wrong in quotes, and end it immediately. Is it that we don't feel that somebody else will bring order in the world, and then we just slip into it? You understand? Is it that we are indolent, psychologically, lazy, ineffectual? You understand, sir? How many years one spends to acquire a certain technique, to go through school, high school, college, university, to become a doctor, 10 years more. And we won't spend a day in, you understand? So our responsibility is to bring about a radical change in ourselves, because we are the rest of humanity. And the next question is, what is right action with regard to violence and when faced with violence? What is right action with regard to violence? What is violence? Go on, sir. What is violence? Anger? Hatred? I'm just going into it, please. Anger? Hatred? Conformity? imitation, obedience, or the denial of all that, the opposite of all that. You understand? And violence is part of our life, inherited probably from the animal and so on. And is it possible to be free of it? Not relatively, but completely free of it. You understand what it means? To be free of anger, which means not only to be free of anger, but to have no anger in the mind. You understand? I wonder if you meet all this. Say, for instance, conformity. Not outward conformity. You understand? But the sense of conformity through comparison. You follow it? We are always comparing, aren't we? Psychologically, I was, I will be, or I am. Which is comparative. You are following all this, sirs? So I'm asking, this mind which is so always comparing, judging, aggressive, and his aggressiveness is to compare. Right? I don't think you see this. So, can the mind be free of absolutely of all violence? If it is, then if suppose it meets violence, what is its response? First of all, if the mind is free from imitation, conformity, comparison, and so on, from that there is right action, right? I don't know if you follow that. And if one meets violence face to face, what is the action that takes place? Can you judge what you're going to do when you meet it? You follow my question? I wonder if you do. Look, sir, I don't want to go too deeply into this. The brain, as I'm saying, please, I'm not an expert on brain, I've not studied neurology, nor all the rest of it, but you can watch it in yourself if you're sensitive, alert, that the brain, when faces violence, undergoes a chemical change. Because it reacts much quicker than the blow. I don't know if you're following me. Right? And it has the capacity to heal itself. I won't go further into it. So the brain knows what is violence, can react to that violence, but to be aware, but for the brain itself to be conscious that a conscious of the freedom of violence. You understand? Am I explaining anything, or am I clear as mud? Probably clear as mud. So let's make it very simple. When you know somebody is angry, your whole body reacts. There's the chemical response, all that takes place, and there's immediate response. You may not hit back, but the very presence of anger or hatred, there is a reaction, right? Now, in the presence of violence, not to have this response. I wonder if you understand, right? Am I explaining? Try it sometime. I hope you'll never face violence, but I'm sure you face anger. And when there is, in the presence of a person who is angry, see what takes place. Be aware of it and not react. You follow? That's the moment you are aware of the other person's anger and you do not yourself respond, there's quite a different response. I wonder if you understand this. Don't call it love and all that kind of stuff. This response, which is our instinct to respond to hate by hate, to anger by anger. But in the presence of anger, there is this, you follow, the welling up, which creates in the system nervous reactions and so on, chemically, but to quieten all this in the presence of anger. And then there is a different action taking place when you are confronted with violence. Have I made this clear? Huh? Or is it still muddy? Right, sir? No? Is it clear? At least verbally.